question very much because I've been travel for several countries, and because of COVID-19, we can't go anywhere.
Yes.
Yeah, right?
Yes.
Yes. So I miss these countries I've been there. And when I review my photos that I've been traveled, and I think, wow, this is Netherlands, beautiful, and Belgium, and Japan. I've been there for 9 times. So the question is how I'm curious about the world, right? For me, I would say I want to just live there, and one of my favorite countries. I want to live there, don't stay there, maybe for 3 to 5 years to see how they live there, how is their exactly life. Not only travel, for a tourist, we just see the very appearance, not the detail of their life. So we don't know how, it's a happiness for me if I can wake up and see the cherry blossoms, see the autumn leaves. It's happiness, and if I live there, I can see them every day. So if you ask me what's my next step, I will say when I retired, I will go to Japan, live in Kyoto to see the cherry blossom, to see the autumn leaves, and maybe go to Hokkaido to see the snow and to experience their true life. Back to Table Toastmaster.
Thank you, May. I've ever only been to one part of Japan, 2 parts of Japan, and the bubble was about this big. All right, so that concludes our table topic session. And as the Cao Cao of the evening, I must say that I was very, very impressed. And I had a great time getting to know each of one of you a little bit more tonight. Toastmaster of the evening.
Thank you, John. That was a very thought-provoking table topics, and with boundless answers that can be imagined. And our next session is our general evaluation session with Eric Ma, and his answer to the question is, what's trying to push the limit with everything you do? So let's welcome Eric Ma.
Thank you, Walter. So Table Topics was Kwan's favorite session. This, without a doubt, is my favorite session, the general evaluation session. For those of you that are new to Toastmasters, I believe the 2 of you, right? First time? General evaluation session was the session that actually attracted me to Toastmasters. And if it wasn't for general evaluation, or the evaluation session, I would probably not have joined, because I think I got the most out of this session. Now, this session is really about getting the feedback. And as in anything, receiving feedback in what you do is really important. It's communication. This is the part where a lot of communication is happening, and it really allows you to grow. Now that only helps the speaker, right? So if you're getting feedback as a speaker, which is what's gonna happen, the speaker is improving. However, a lot of people don't realize, actually, the person giving the feedback is improving. And it helped me the most by being an evaluator more often. I became a better communicator. I became less direct. I became more tactful with my wording. And that's where I really grew as a person. Yeah, Paul too. He's very direct though, still. And we'll see that in the set. Maybe he'll be tactful. So, going forward, we will introduce the evaluators, and Paul is our first evaluator, and he's going to be evaluating Darren Fang's speech. And when I asked Paul the theme question on what pushed him to his limits, actually Paul doesn't push himself to the limit, he pushes other people to the limit. To the limit of insanity. So let's welcome Paul.
So gratitude is a positive attitude. That was Darren's speech title. His speech objective was to focus on the positive, was to share a personal experience of growth. Apparently for this project, he had to write a journal. Did you write a journal? Okay, well, you were meant to write a journal, and then you were meant to go back and look into the journal, and then just share an experience where you've grown. And Darren kind of did that. So if you look at the objectives of the project, he did grow. He shared something that he was struggling with. He wasn't really happy. He wasn't really enjoying his life. He wasn't really finding any pleasure or fulfillment in life. And then he met this wonderful lady called Irene, and she was like, "Thank you, policeman, for not giving me a 3,000 NT fine, only 1,200 NT fine." That was wonderful. Thank you for finding us a parking lot, even though we have to walk 3 kilometers. But we're so thankful to have one, right? So he did really show us that experience of growth and that attitude that he learned from his girlfriend. So yes, if you look at the objectives of the speech, he met the objectives of the speech. A couple of us were also a little bit perplexed because we kind of kept on watching Darren come up to Ben and what's going on there, Ben? You know, looking at the timer and kind of going there. And during the intermission, I took up his sheet, and this project, you had a speech length of 2 to 3 minutes or 5 to 7 minutes. So I guess he was shooting for the 2 to 3 minute speech, not the 5 to 7 minute speech. And so that's why there's been a little bit of a conflict on the timing. So maybe he was over time or under time, but he wasn't on time. So this is the first thing I want to just address generally as speaking. As speakers, we really need to take a look at the agenda, and we need to be responsible for the agenda. Whenever people invite us to speak, we need to confirm how long. How much time do I have? Do I have 5 minutes? Do I have 3 minutes? So that was on you, not on the VP. So please take responsibility for that. But the second thing I want to talk about here as well is that you are someone who has boundless enthusiasm, boundless energy, boundless participation. Every time we ask you to do something, you do it just boundlessly. You never stop. You never stop. We just say, "Darren, help," and you just jump in boundlessly. But this is the one thing I also want to share with you, is that when it comes to speaking, you say yes, 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 yes. But now my friends are going to laugh at me, right? But great speaking comes from great thinking. Okay, you can laugh. And this is what I think sometimes with your speech is that you have an idea for your speech. And we can see you have the idea for the speech. But how much time do you actually spend developing the speech? I know for myself, when I first started speaking in Toastmasters, until Lester actually challenged me to give a speech off the cuff, I would spend about a week writing every speech and practicing each speech at least 100 times. Great speaking comes from great thinking, great reflecting. So I would encourage you now to write your next speech now. Not wait for the VP. Write it now, refine, 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 until you have the perfect speech. Great speaking requires great thinking. Jeremy Baird.
Did you think about that, Paul?
What?
Yes, I agree with what you said. Preparation is really important, and thinking, always good to think. Our next evaluator is Douglas Gilmartin, and he's going to be evaluating Nick Shaw's speech. Dr. Sleep, is he still here? Is he sleeping?
Yes.
Oh, he's still here. There he is. And when I asked Douglas what pushed him to the limit in the past, he said when his first year of moving to Taiwan, he was working from home remotely, and he was away from a lot of friends. You were away from family also, you said? Okay, your family was in here. Oh yeah, you weren't married yet when you came, right? Oh, you weren't? Okay. I guess his wife left him the first year, I don't know.
She's not my only fan.
Oh, okay. Got it. So he was away from family, and he was very lonely and depressed, and it really drove him almost nuts. And I totally understand that feeling, because my first year of working remote, I had the same problem. But after speaking to Douglas, I felt a lot better. So let's welcome Douglas Gilmartin.
All right. I don't say this lightly, Nick. You have the potential to be an extraordinary speaker if you really work at it. because you're willing to do things that very few people will. You try things, you experiment things, you take risks. One of the ways that you did that was, for example, you used props, which we don't see very often. And every one of them had a function and had a great purpose. The eye mask on, like everybody was already engaged before you said anything. The alarm, the jacket to change into Dr. Sleep, all of them were really well thought out and would be effective. They also showed some of the danger of props. They can take you off the rail if you don't practice with them a little bit extra. So like the eye thing that wouldn't come off and got stuck on your head, and the alarm that wouldn't turn off. So make sure if you use props, you practice it. And you know something very simple you can do unconsciously. Eye mask, I grab it here, I pull it straight this way. And you can do it without thinking. The other thing I really, really liked was you used a character. You used two characters. You had the sleepy guy who couldn't wake up. And then, ta-da! Here comes Dr. Sleep. And you changed your personality, you changed your approach, you spoke a little differently. And it made it much more memorable, and it shifted, and both the props and both the characters help us remember. I would make sure also that you get the most out of the characters if you're going to use them. In other words, like when you're the sleepy guy laying there, emphasize the bad things of not getting sleep. You're talking about, I'm laying there and I can't remember things, and my immune system, and you can play up the motivations and the reasons to get more sleep in that character and make it this big, huge caricature of how bad it can be if you don't get enough sleep. And then you went into Dr. Sleep, and he's super energetic, and it changes. But if you use a character, stay with a character. Be consistent with a character. Like, it was weird when you get to the end and Dr. Sleep is kind of curling up for a nap and is, So if he's energetic, super guy that teaches things, stay true to that character the whole way through, and it'll make it even stronger. I like that you put up the PowerPoint for me, because I wrote down and I remembered the 5 tips, and I wouldn't have been able to do that